Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Trade Stock. We're here in person live in Santa Cruz, California. Naylor Taliaferro flew all the way out from the East Coast to sit down with me and have a conversation, well, about trades and landscaping and all things. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing super, super well, man.
It's the maiden voyage here outside for your podcast. It's epic.
It is. We got the whole setup, and if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're not, you should go over to YouTube and watch it.
There you
got
go.
the video, and yeah, we're just out here in my backyard. This is going to be the studio.
Your new backyard, your newly renovated backyard. It's amazing.
Newly renovated. Thanks, man. I figured it's about time I created a nice little haven for myself and a place where I could be happy. And I'm not doing as much travel this year. And you and I know we both did a lot of travel last year. So I'm pulling back a little bit. And I wanted a place that I could feel very much inspired, but also connected to the family, to the home life, and everything else.
Yeah. No, it just definitely fits this, in my opinion, fits the bill for your private oasis for sure. So you guys definitely got to check this out on YouTube. You can see the backdrop. It's pretty amazing. So it almost looks like AI. We're talking, it's always about AI, right? We're always talking about AI. But it almost looks like AI in the background. It's so perfect.
It actually does look like we might have a green screen right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if it wasn't for the shadows and the sun moving,
Yeah.
I think we might be accused of a green screen.
Right.
So, dude, Naylor, we were just talking offline, and we had to get this on because I love this conversation we were having about human connection.
Yeah.
And here we are in person, and just like it's already, I'm so thankful and grateful for you to come out here because, yes, over the screen is it works, but it's not ideal. Being in person is what it's all about. So, tell me a little bit about where we're headed in your perspective as a community and a society towards maybe human connection and away from this information age.
Yeah, 100%. So like I was saying off air is I'm self-proclaiming that we're going from AI is forcing us quickly to go from the information age to the connection age where we are going to crave human connection, person-to-person connection, whether it be like this for podcasts, different events, like the events that you do and I do and that we're a part of. And ultimately, and we're getting this on air now, the full circle is I think this is going to be the snapback from COVID, right? We were so like we were trapped inside. There was no AI, as we know it now. So we were just kind of really disconnected. So I think this is going to be the full snapback, and AI is kind of going to push us that way because AI is going to be everywhere, and it's going to be very helpful, and it's going to push us leaps and bounds ahead of new discoveries, new creative thinking, new technology, new advances, all the things. It's going to help, but it's also going to make us crave connection because we're not going to really know what's real anymore, what's not, and who are we? Are we actually talking to a person? Are we talking to their AI clone? Like, what are we doing here? So it's going to actually... Because like you can also from like an educational standpoint, you can just go on AI, any kind of platform, and any of the ones that exist now, and you can just get any answer you want. You can create a PDF for yourself or for your team, an SOP. If you have a coaching program, you can just create a whole So who's going to really spend a lot of their time and resources to do that with someone else when they can just do it for themselves? So again, that's where I think it's going to come down to connection. It's like, okay, well, we're going to have an in-person mastermind, or we're going to have a in-person meetup, or we're going to have these conversations, right, that people are going to crave to be a part of because we're going to be disconnected all over again in a way. Yeah. So I feel like it's going to be a full circle snapback now that we can do whatever, and everything is behind us when it comes to seclusion and everything, the pandemic. Like now we can actually participate in connection, and we can just hang out like this. It doesn't have to be outside either.
Right? Here we are. Social distancing outside.
right. But we don't have to. So I think it's just kind of a full circle there, and I think everyone that's going to win, wherever you're at, whether you're talking about from social media, content creating, business coaching, mentorship, to your lawn and landscape business growth, it's all about connection as well, no matter what. Because think about it from a customer perspective, like your customers, your potential customers, they're not going to know if they're seeing AI or not. But like if you're on video, you got to get comfortable with talking on video
Yep.
and showing video of your work, of your shop, of why you do this and why you do that, customer testimonials. That's where the connection's going to be. And then even in-person things like around by me, a lot of us will sponsor a swim team, or a community event, and we'll be there with tables set up and, executive members of the team and representing and supporting the community and that connection. And then you get to see each other and greet, and you get new customers and your existing customers. Oh, thanks for coming out. Thanks for sponsoring the swim team, or thanks for being a part of this community event. And that's going to grow, I think, more now than ever before. So.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree. And it's like things that can be done by AI will then be assumed it is AI. So like
right.
overly produced commercials and text on a screen and emails and, DMs and text messages, you're like, I don't know if I'm talking to a real person.
Right.
And that really bothers me. So
right.
And it's going to get to the point where even video and voice over, cell phones are going to not sure if it's AI or the real person. So the one thing if it's AI or not is in person,
right,
face to face. And
right.
that is going to become a very huge value asset in every business and every relationship. And it's interesting you mentioned like the community and sponsoring the swim team. I think those events, whether it be the swim team, we're sponsoring the Cal Poly tractor pull, and we're going to go down there and just be there in person and just enjoy everybody's in-person community and try to communicate what we're trying to do at K&D and hopefully they're interested. But either way, it's just there to meet people and keep pushing the bar.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And I think that is really also like this is making us go full circle again with the type of content. Like just now more than ever, again, we're going to push raw, authentic, real content.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, when you said about like that highly produced or overproduced, that made me think about that too, is that's another direction we're going. All part of this is that now you question if is it too perfect? Is that AI? What is it? But so it's like now instead of trying to be perfect and trying to have the best cameras and the best lighting and the best this and that, now that's actually going to make you look more authentic when you're a little off on something, and you're just in the moment. Like doing the one thing AI can't do is live. It can't do Instagram live and YouTube live, right? So live streaming is something that is also should and will pick up, and those that are already doing it already know this, and if they stick with it, they're gonna it's going to only get better for them. That's something I personally want to get more into is streaming live, because that's all part of connection. Because you literally and now yes, AI can kind of get involved in that. But if you are doing a live stream and then you're responding to a comment that everyone else on the live stream can see that comment, then they know it's live. They know you're doing it. It's not a recording. It's not whatever. But if it's a webinar and you can't really see all the things, you don't really know. But if it's just a Zoom Live or, a StreamYard or Riverside or anything that you can stream live from now, and everyone can see everything, and you literally are responding to that person's name, that comment, and interacting, now that's that engagement and that's that connection. And that's something that AI can't do now anyway. And I don't think they'll ever be able to figure that out. So
I don't think so. Not to the point that you can like
tell the difference.
It's a person. And
right.
I like that streaming. I haven't done much live streaming, and Mac does a lot of that.
Yes.
And I was on his Wednesday night deal, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like it was just in the moment. Comments are coming in.
Yeah.
I operate better like that in that mode than I do with a produced PowerPoint and a whole webinar. I've done some webinars that are overly scripted. I'm like, I don't know. This doesn't feel real.
Right.
Like I just want the raw Q&A. So,
right. It's going to be better to be unscripted now as well than scripted. I mean, of course, you want to have your stuff together. You want to have bullet points. You don't want to be completely, off the wall, depending on what kind of event it is. But like you're on stage, you want to be polished. I get it, right? So depending on where you are and what you're doing, in your audience. But unscripted is going to become more part of that connection and more realism and more organic than being super polished and overly produced, to your point. So
So tell me a little bit about LCR Media for those listening that I think I didn't really do much of an intro because I think most people know you. So I kind of skipped to that. But tell us a little bit about LCR Media. How'd you get started in LCR Media? Because you started as a lawn care professional and then you started building the social media and the brand behind it. When was that decision made that you're, hey, I'm going to start building this media company around my lawn care business?
Yeah. Thank you for asking me that, Justin, because I haven't really talked about this in a while. And really what it comes down to is I didn't know that I was going to have this opportunity to impact the industry like I am and like I can. I started my lawn care business to impact my own life. I was in retail management for 15 years, and it was just taking control of my life. My kids are really young. I barely spent time with them. My wife would joke that she was a single parent, but it wasn't funny. And, it affected our marriage and things. And it's like, oh, man. So, and I was really, going down some dark paths as far as like psychologically. I was just really getting burned out, and I was getting depressed, and I just wasn't happy with my life. And I leaned into lawn care because I didn't really know what else to do. And I was the homeowner that was really good at lawn care for myself. I was a good lawn tech, and I'm like, well, I've been managing all these other big corporation, like stores, all these big corporates like J.C. Penney and Toys R Us I was at, and just different. Unfortunately, those businesses didn't do so well. But that has nothing to do with me. But I started at the Gap. I worked at a sporting goods store, like I just from college through 15 years. But so I learned a lot about leadership and management and team building and how to get yelled at by customers with a smile and still have a smile on your face. I learned a lot of things in that, but it also really burned me out. And I wanted to get my life back. I wanted to get some control of my life. So I'm like, well, if I can take the business management that I learned from retail, combine it with being a lawn care tech, and maybe I can have a lawn care business out of it. And that was 12 years ago. So it was all about me trying to get my time back and get control of my life and quality of life and rebuild my family life. And quickly along the way, I discovered social media when I was just researching for my business, researching how to be a business, right? How to go from a homeowner to a business. And there was just a couple of guys like the Lawn Care Millionaire and, making content way back then in 2012 and 2013. So I was just binging it all. And I saw there's like a little bit of a community, same kind of people, following along and commenting. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I got all involved in all that without going down that whole rabbit hole. But when I started creating content on YouTube and just becoming a part of the community, I realized that there was an opportunity to give back to the community and help grow the community. It kind of was like by default, like it was just organically happening. And then I realized that this is part of leadership that I did in retail management. Like I just kind of
building teams.
Yeah, I brought that leadership with me to my business, but also to social media, to the community. So I have become a leader in our growth of our community. But I started LCR Media when I realized, well, one, if I'm going to be doing business transactions for social media and events and everything, I don't want that running through my lawn care business. I want two separate entities. But it became bigger than that because I called myself the lawn care rookie when I first started my channel. I wanted people to know I wasn't the lawn care millionaire. I was just starting out, wanted to be clear. But then eventually people would shorten it. They'd call me rookie or LCR, like in the comments. So I'm like, oh, so that's where LCR stands for lawn care rookie. But so Lawn Care Rookie Media, LCR Media. But so that all came together as an idea of how do I create a brand bigger than me that supports the community, that becomes a name in the industry of growth for positive change in our industry and for everyone that wants to be a part of this industry in our community. And I saw something bigger than me and my business and more than just the hundreds of Susies and Johns that I can help beautify their lawns. I can actually help the Justins and the Cornells and, the Erics, everyone else, and the Pauls that would watch my videos or listen to my podcast or go to an event and they would get impacted, and now they can help their Susie and Johns so much more. Now I can amplify that literally worldwide. I mean, I have friends all over the world from doing this for 12 years, and I've met some of them at Equip Expo because they've come there, and I've met someone from the UK for the first time.
That's
and
cool.
It's like it's crazy. It's like you long lost brother. You talk to each other so much, but never see each other in person until finally. So it's just amazing how many doors have opened and how rewarding it has felt to have LCR Media as a brand that helps promote growth and community in our industry. So that's pretty much what it's been about for me. So every year I keep thinking of, what else is out there? What else can I do? What's working? How can I keep growing that and building that? And a lot of it's kind of organic but there's still intentionality there with it.
Trying to just at the root of that, what I'm picking up is helping to impact people in a positive way and motivate people too. Because I know for me, I felt like I had to get to somewhere to then go back and teach. I was like, yeah, maybe when I'm like, 50, 60, 70 and I've done all this stuff, I can come back and teach people. And then I realized that, and you and others, like Brian Fullerton and some of these other guys have helped me realize, like, actually the real teaching, like the real benefit is sharing what's going on in the moment. Like, you don't have to wait to have this like big event and then you can come back and talk about it. It's really just say, hey, I'm going through this and this week. How are you guys doing? And I think that type of in the moment, man in the arena, so to speak, sharing has been phenomenal for our industry, and it's inspired so many.
I agree, and that's kind of like the whole connection and the organic and the real, raw, all of that. And you only need to be one chapter ahead of someone else to help show them something that they don't know yet, help shorten the learning curve, help them grow faster and with less pain. There's always going to be our lumps that we have to take along the way, but why do we all have to take 10 years to do something when we can collapse time? If it takes us 2 years, think of how much more progress we can make together as a community, as an industry, as a society, right? So that's what I think it's all about, and that's why we're going into the connection age.
And the connection, more live events, more in-person events. You're headed to Las Vegas here this weekend to go be in person and get on a stage at a kind of a big conference, right? That's not a landscapes conference.
It's a construction conference. So landscaping is kind of involved depending on what you do with your landscaping, but they got all the crazy big machines to the little machines, if you're digging in the dirt, essentially you there's something there for you, but I don't know if they have like lawnmowers or anything there, but it's definitely more heavy construction than anything else. But it's a huge conference. I was just looking it up on the way here. 140,000 people attend.
Man. And I thought Equip was big.
Right. 140,000.
Oh my gosh. So how much does Equip bring every year?
30,000 last year. It was 30.
So
but it grows there. It's been growing every year. Every year they've been since COVID they've been breaking the previous year's record. So 30,000 was more than 28,500 the year before that, and so on and so forth. But Equip is big size-wise, and they have a big attendance. I think they're like fourth in the country for trade shows. But ConExpo is number one because it's like 8 acres or something, and then it's 7-point-something acres, and then it's 140,000 people, 2,400 vendors.
Wow.
It's just bananas. And they can only fit in Vegas at the Las Vegas Convention Center because it's so massive that they take up the entire block or whatever it is.
There's literally nowhere else.
Nowhere else that can hold them.
Oh, man. Well, that's going to be a blast. That'll be exciting to see all of that big equipment. That's like little kid fun stuff.
Yeah, like literally like the Tonka trucks you played with, they've got the real life ones where the tires are taller than you. And I've seen it online over the like it's every 3 years, so it's like a huge buildup, which probably adds to it being so packed. But 3 years ago, I remember seeing some of the guys in the industry that were there, and I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, look at all this stuff. So, but awesome. I'll get to check it out and talk about branding and network with some of my my good friends and some peers and mingle with some brands that I know that are going to be there, and just cover all the bases.
You know who you should track down is Aaron Witt.
Yeah,
dude, he is Awesome. I was on his podcast last year, went out to
Really?
Nashville. Yeah.
Nice.
Got to hang out with him. And we were connected through Granite Rock here. It's a big construction company, and we use them for a lot of materials. And his brand's insane. Like, I think he's over 1 million on Instagram now. And he just takes the coolest pictures of equipment.
Yeah.
So he'll be there
Yeah.
at some booths. I saw him post about it.
Yeah, the guy that put us together, the friend of mine, Marvin, that put us together to be at ConExpo. He's going to be doing some other things too, but he's friends with him, and he's connected with a lot of people in that world, from asphalt to construction and just connecting. It's all about networking, you know.
Well, it's interesting. That's such a massive world as far as, you know, how much asphalt or how much construction work happens every day across the world. So many people are involved, and they're so disconnected, or have been so disconnected, until people like Aaron and others come along, and same with lawn and landscape and yourself and others. And it's really cool to see this era of connection really start to come to life. And it all started with social media, but it's becoming more and more in person. And, you know, what do you think is next with this connection era? Where is this going? You know, as AI starts to become more and more prevalent in the day to day, do you think we're going to have more in person events, or we're gonna like, you know, we're gonna desire to be in person more? Like, instead of working from home, you're gonna be like, hey, can I work at the office today, please? Like, you know, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a complete snapback from being forced to be remote, and oh, that was cool, and then it's not cool, and now we're like over it, and now we just really want to go out and do stuff. I really think you're already seeing some of the bigger trade shows wanting to interact with content creators more and have more social events, after parties, whatever you want to call them, just different versions of that. I've been involved in them. You've been involved in them.
Yeah.
And I think that's only going to continue to grow. For you and I think we and anyone listening that is like you and I, that does their own events and has their own, you know, audience and community as well, or is aspiring to, I think that's where we need to now take full advantage of it being the connection age, and think, how can we make that more, how can we create more connection for our audience, for the community, for the industry? And then, of course, you know, maybe how can we connect that with some of these bigger brands and some of these trade shows, but focusing on our own personal branding and our own companies, our own events. So how do we keep growing that? You know, like to me, I think, what else can I do without it being too much? Do I need to dial back on something to start something else, or, you know, here and there, and just trying to figure that out to keep moving forward with as many appropriate connection opportunities. You know, like I'm not doing it just for the sake of doing it. Like, I want to be very intentional, but like, instead of doing an in-person event, like my own in-person event once a year, like, let me do two times a year. So it's like, you know, you have a break, you know, 6 months in or whatever, like, to give people some options and some more connection opportunities, you know. So I think those of us leaders that think like that or want to be like that, I think that is where we should focus, is continuing. How else can we do that? Can we push that forward?
Yeah, we're going to we've experimented with a few things in the Disruptors. One has been our Disruptor Socials, which has been super fun. You guys were in New Orleans, and really it's just a party. Like, we get some great sponsors to kick in and make an event possible with free food, free booze, and some kind of fun activity. And Drew always finds these great places. Like, big shout out to Drew on that. And then now we're starting to think of, like, all right, maybe we can put together a 1 or 2 day event where we can just get together with some folks, and just, maybe it's not a super intense agenda or anything else. We did this a year ago. We had an event here in Santa Cruz, and it went super well. It was just a 1 day event. And we were talking off air before we started that you guys decided to lock something in, and it's a profit accelerator course or event.
Yeah.
Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this June in Richmond, Virginia, which is where I currently live. I was going to say where I'm from, but I'm originally from the state of New York, so I don't want to get that twisted. But I've been in Virginia for quite some time now. So I live right around Richmond, Virginia, and it's a nice, especially in the summer, it's a nice area. Virginia's a nice area, and so I wanted to have an event close by instead of everywhere else. I'm always traveling for everything. So it's going to be in Richmond, Virginia, but it's called Profit Accelerator Live. And essentially it's how do we take what, like from the LCR Summit and some other events where it's more kind of everything about your business, like how do you improve everything in your business from marketing, sales, employees and everything, knowing your numbers, like how do we extract like something that will really help you move the needle in my opinion, a more impactful way. Like sometimes it's hard to focus on everything, right? So we're focusing on profits. So Profit Accelerator Live is how do you quickly increase the profits in your business, which is money, and your life, which is time, right? How do you get more money? How do you get more time? And to me, it's almost more important for me to have more time because, I by default, this industry, this business gave me more time. Ironically, people are like, how is that possible, right? But I mean, yes, I work a lot, but it's different. It's a different type of work. I'm my own boss. I have more control. I structure systems the way that I want them in my business around my life, not vice versa, so it really has saved me in so many ways. But I meet a lot of contractors and business owners that they're getting burned out like I was in retail.
Yeah.
By this business because they're working all day, every day, 6-7 days, and they're getting burned out and they're having the family issues and the relationship issues and they're wondering why they're not getting ahead. They wonder why they're still not able to pay their bills. And well, it's because you're not profitable in your business or your life. You don't have to work all day, every day. You have to have. So here's the thing. Here's one thing that I love about. So there's money, but then there's time, and all of us have the same amount of time. We all have access to the time.
Yeah.
It's not like money where we don't have the same access. We don't all have money or the same amount of money. We all have the same 24 hours in the day, all of us. But it's how we assign that time. We are literally going through space and time, and it's going to continue to assign itself with or without us. Time continues to move. We are within that time. So how do we assign that? How do we assign that time? By default or by design?
Right.
Because either way, the time is going to be assigned. So are we letting the day default its assignments?
The notifications.
Yeah, all the notifications on our phone, and we just go down these rabbit holes, and we just kill the whole hour of our day. We let our time be assigned by default instead of designing our time. Like, hey, when I wake up and I'm going to do this, this, and this, I'm not going to do these things. I'm going to save that for another time. And you just structure your day. Have some systems. Have time blocking. Have all kinds of things. So that's what I'm really focused on, because by default, I had to figure that. I kind of just did this stuff by default when I started this business. And then I'm like thinking, well, how do I, it pains me to hear so many guys wanting to quit or close up shop, or they're getting a divorce, or they're, and maybe those things would have happened in another profession too. But I just feel like maybe there's some ways that they could, adjust their time and be more profitable and make more money so that they don't have to work as much, right? Like buy back your time, right? Yep. But even if you're solo, whether you're starting or you've been in it for a little while and you're solo, you can still get your time back without necessarily paying for people, on your staff, if you just assign your time properly throughout the day, every day. Have a daily plan, a weekly plan, a monthly plan, a yearly plan, and break it down and follow through and adjust as you go. It's all about assigning your time. So that's all the stuff that we will be focusing on, in addition to, how to know your numbers and be profitable money-wise, right? Like pricing and sales and making sure you're dialing your expenses in and having budgets, all the fun stuff that not everybody wants to hear about. But if you want to make more money and work less, then come to the Profit Accelerator Live in June 26th and 27th, and you'll be able to learn for 2 days. Me, John Pajak, Eric Tripp at the Pond Digger, and we all specialize in very specific things, and we can come together and help you guys have a plan midway through the year, 6 months in. Am I profitable? Am I burned out? Did the spring rush crush me or what? Did I get crushed by the spring rush or no?
It's a good time to kind of reset and refocus.
And come up with a new plan to finish the year strong. So
I love that, because I've lived all of that. I've lived the
right.
no time, no money, a lot of time, a lot of money, and now I'm like kind of in somewhere in between, and it's a really interesting place. I think it's like as you grow your business, you have to, whether it's every 3 months or every year, or every 3 years, depending on your growth rate, you have to like refocus and reallocate your time and resources every time you double your business. And what's interesting, I think most people miss, is when you go from 0 employees to 1 employee, you've doubled your business. You know, 1 is just yourself, and now you have 2. And then you hire 2 more people. Now you got 4. You just doubled again. And then now you hire a few more, and now you got 6 or 8, and you doubled again. So pretty quickly there, you could double or quadruple your business by only adding a few people when you're starting out. And that right there is a need to reassign your time. And it's a time also to reassign your pricing. And that is probably the thing that I see most entrepreneurs in the landscape industry miss on. They have this really limiting belief around money and around how much can they pay, or should I say how much can they spend per hour or charge per hour. It's charge per hour. Let me get that right. And I've talked to so many of my peers about this, and I was just talking to my buddy who does electrician. He's an electrician and owns a business. He's like, oh, my clients won't pay this amount. And I said, hey man, like, I think they will because your competition is actually charging that. Yeah, but they have this and they have that. They have the nice brand, and I'm like, but you guys are doing the same work. You know, you'd be surprised once you started charging what you're worth, what clients you will attract, what clients that stop calling in a good way, and how much more money is left over to pay your bills at the end of the day. Naylor, what do you think? How many people out there are mispricing their work because they're not taking the time to really look at their finances? Most of them. Yeah, I would agree. Like, it's got to be 80%.
Because even if they have it, I was thinking about number 2. Even if you have that dialed in once, it's a moving target. The needle's constantly moving. You have to continuously reevaluate. And like you said, reassign. Like you can't, it's not one and done. You know, I mean, every year, everyone else is adjusting their expenses everywhere. I mean, yeah, there are things that, you know, like Netflix had the same price for a while, but then they increased it, you know, like it's so you have to understand that happens everywhere else. So why is it that we don't do that? And I think it comes down to us not valuing our own time.
Yep. I think that's the root of it. Absolutely.
And you just don't think that you're worth charging more than that. So if you know your worth, if you value your time, that's going to help you right then and there. And that's why getting into communities like, you know, Disruptors and going to different events, whether it be the LCR Summit, now the Profit Accelerator Live, going to Equip, you know, all these different great industry events and the networking spin-offs, that one conversation with a Justin White or a Cornell Mack, 2 different levels of businesses, you know, you can learn from everyone something, right? And and that's going to help you get more confidence when you hear other people saying that they're charging this or they went through that, but they got over it, you know, and now you start. The biggest thing, and I know you've had, I'm going to keep this short, but like, I know you've had mentorship and coaching, and so have I, and people think what they want about that. But at the end of the day, the number one thing that I have ever paid for from a mentor or a coach is their belief in me.
Yeah. Whoa, that's deep.
So it's not just what they taught me with their skills, like how to know my numbers, how to be better at this and that thing. No, it's their belief in me and what I can achieve and what my potential is that's untapped that I can't see myself, but they can see it. So it's all about mindset. It always starts with mindset times skill set plus tool set equals assets, and you are your greatest asset. So
100%.
It just has to come back to mindset. So whether that's a peer-to-peer or peer-to-mentor, whatever it is, you're borrowing or paying for someone else's belief in you. And I think if we can do that more, and that's why we have these different communities that we try and events that we try to expose everyone to those connections and that networking, hopefully they will have that conversation or meet that person that will help them believe. Yeah.
You know, Tony Robbins talks about the 3S framework, and the first one being strategy. And that's where everyone focuses. Like, once I figure out the strategy, I'll be successful. And truly with AI and ChatGPT and all this stuff, I mean, strategy is pretty easy today. You can go on and you can develop a 5-year plan. I just did it, and it's really amazing. Like, it's Harvard level MBA strategy. But and then below that, the second S is your story, right? What do you believe, and what are the things you tell yourself? Because you can build the best strategy, and then underneath that you say, that's great, but I can't do that, right? Like, that's not for me. My ceiling's here, and that strategy's much higher. I need to find people and hire people that know more than me, which to some degree that's true. But if you can believe in yourself, and if you can find someone to believe in you first, it makes it a lot easier. You can start building on that strategy. And then the third S at the foundation, and the most important, is your state, or your mind state. And if you are in a state of anxiety and panic and stress, and how am I going to pay the bills, and I don't get my invoices out on time because I don't have enough time to send out invoices, and well, what about that software we talked about 6 months ago? I just haven't had time to bring on that new software, and it's like, man, that would really unlock a lot. And you're in this loop every 6 to 12 months. You're living the same life. And if you can't get your mind state right, and you can't build out that story and that belief system, then, the strategy really is just never going to take traction. And I think a lot of people are out there wondering why they're not getting traction on this really great strategy they have, because they did go to a conference, or they did sit in on a webinar, and they built themselves a nice strategy that's on the wall. And yet it just doesn't seem to get traction on the day-to-day. I had someone actually tell me this today. And, I can tell you in real time here as I'm processing this, it's someone who has built multiple billion-dollar companies. And our BHAG at K&D is we want to build $1 billion company. Which is, every time I say it, it's like I'm believing it a little bit more. And, he was talking to me off air, and he just said, I know you're going to do it. He's like, it's not a matter of when or if or anything. He's like, I can already tell you're going to do this. The main thing is, what are you going to do when you do it? What's next? And I was just like, whoa, like, I haven't even thought about that. But hearing him say that, it made me feel a little better about the journey, about the mission, about what we're trying to do, because it's someone who has done it. And so if you're trying to grow a $1 million business, and you're like solopreneur, $150,000 a year, and someone who's doing 2 million says, I know you're going to do $1 million, it changes everything for you. And that is exactly why these communities, these meetups, these events are so important to attend and be a part of.
100%, because you don't know what you don't know also. So, and what you're exposed to makes you realize that your potential and what else can be done. If they're doing it, I didn't even think about that, or I didn't know that was possible. And now you start thinking to yourself, maybe I can do that, without even necessarily someone telling you. You just sometimes observing and being exposed to that. But again, you have to put yourself in that environment. No one, if you just stay home and you never go to any events, or you never really, listen to a podcast or read a book or go on social media much because you think it's all a waste of time. Well, yeah, don't get lost in the sauce. Don't go doom scrolling, but like definitely assign some time for that. Assign time and a budget to travel to whatever the closest event for you is, or if you want to make it a trip and bring some family with you, or whatever it looks like for you, to get yourself in the right environment and expose yourself to the right things. And even if there's something virtual you can do, get on a call or a live stream, as a viewer, and just learn from as much as you can, right? Reading is really underrated. Oh, we don't have time. Well, you know what? I don't have all the time in the world either, but I sure can listen. So I'm a big Audible.
I'm all day. Yeah.
Yeah. Audio books. I've consumed hundreds of books. I just listen to them. Sometimes I buy the physical copy just so I can re-listen and have physical notes and highlights from my bookmarks in my phone. And I can just have the actual book version, a hard copy that's my notebook from all of my thoughts so it's not in my phone, because that's a whole another conversation for another day of the power of writing things down versus thinking it or typing it in your phone. There's nothing like writing physically on a piece of paper, or some of these new tablets. I I use Remarkable.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
I got one.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So, and there's like Scribe and some other ones that are very similar where it feels like you're literally writing on paper, but it's electronic and it doesn't have all the apps and all these things that are going to distract you. How many times have you gone on your phone to try and do one thing and you see and you forget what you even were on there for? Yeah.
I'm on Instagram and I'm like, wait, how did I get on
Right, exactly.
I opened my phone to send an email. And then boom, boom, boom.
Exactly.
And I'm scrolling.
These big tech companies, that's their goal. The whole point is to get you on there and stay on there so they can get paid with all the ads. Like that's so yeah, like
they're good at it.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So you can't allow that to happen, but you definitely need to, back to assigning your time, you need to assign your time so that you can learn, write things down, have a journal, write your notes, listen to the books, but then have somewhere to write some thoughts down. Like one of my mentors and business coach taught us something that he learned a long time ago that changed the game for me from listening to someone speak at a conference or reading or listening to a book. He learned from his mentor, don't write down what they said, write down what you thought of from what they said. Write down what they said made you think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. Whenever I'm listening to a speaker, I have like just general notes, and then I have bullet points, like maxims that I try to come away with that aren't necessarily their words, but it's like you've said already a few of them around time, and just it's like don't let time control you, control your time, or assign your time. And so I try to write like one word things, and then come back and share it with my team. All right, guys, I'm going to share with you 10 things, and you'll probably only remember one of them. Hopefully you'll remember one, but one will speak to you, and take that and try to implement that. I wanted to ask you, is there anything around your routine? Is there something you do every day or every week or every month that is a ritual for you around this way of optimizing your time?
Yeah, every day I keep refining. For this whole winter, I've really been refining my time so that I'm not just saying it just to say it, right? Like this is stuff that I've organically done, and now I've been even more intentional. I've created frameworks to share with others, and it's a whole thing. And the latest tool and resource is called the bullet journal. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I haven't, yeah.
But
what is that about?
So the bullet journal, I forgot the name of the gentleman that created it, which is epic. Imagine creating a journal that has millions of people using it and bought it.
Talk about impact.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just kind of stumbled upon this in my relentless search of how to track my time better. There was never one planner or one notebook or one agenda or one calendar app or book or anything. I've got stacks of notebooks and journals, and none of them had everything that I wanted the way I wanted it. At one point I thought about making my own.
Right.
Like I'm just going to make my own. Like I can just have AI do it, just give it the ideas and just build it. Boom, there it is. Cuz I could each one of them had something I liked and a bunch of the stuff that I didn't want, and I just ended up giving up on it. So on my relentless search, I found the bullet journal, and two things that I learned from the bullet journal. One is that is my most favorite way, my most favorite system. I learned so much recently from this. I love this. He calls it an operating system for life.
Okay.
The bullet journal is an operating system. I love that term for a journal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
An operating system for your life. You used a bullet journal. So I learned that that's an effective operating system for me, but what I also learned was to just stick with something long enough to see if it works. Instead of having a stack of things, you like this, you don't like that, and you just kind of fizzle out on it. Like, I'm going all in on this bullet journal, download it on my Remarkable app. Like so many things are partnered with Remarkable, and you can just literally, there's all the bullet journal stuff is right there. Download it, it's all there, and nice. I can just use the bullet journal, which is actually easier on the Remarkable than the physical book because you're flipping pages back and forth. And it's structured well, so you can do that, but it's so much easier to just copy and paste and do things from your Remarkable and just, digitally scroll back and forth, or quickly there's like an index thing, you click it and it skips all the way back to the index, and so it's a lot faster and intuitive on the Remarkable. But let me go all in on learning the bullet journal and letting this operating system for my life help me improve my life and my time even more than I already am. So I literally follow the bullet journal, and essentially what it is just a way for you to quickly log your life, right? There's a year, and it starts from a year view to a month view to a week view to a day view. And it's just a very simple system, and it's called a bullet journal because you're writing down bullets every day. You've got 4 different types of bullets. You've got an actual bullet, which is like a task for that day, and you X it off if you completed it, or 1 line if you didn't complete it, an arrow if you move it to the next day, and then you have like a little circle for events, and you have a dash for notes. So there's just like these different quick little easy bullets, that you can log your life, right? And it's more about every day you're writing down like what you've done.
Yeah.
You look at your week and you look at your month and you select 1 to 3 priorities that you want to get done that day. Don't overwhelm yourself. There's like a lot of key concepts that he's combined from working other operating systems and methodologies that he's combined with his own journal method. And it's all, what's also unique is because it's all bullets. So I don't know if you've ever seen paper. It's not graph paper, but it's paper with a whole, like a rows of little tiny dots, aka bullets. Okay. So you can do whatever you want. You can draw on it. You can use all the dots to line up, all the bullets to like draw lines and arrows and shapes and diagrams, as well as to use as like lines to write your notes and your agenda and how you're feeling. That was the other bullet, was your feeling. Oh, the equal sign, like 2 dashes equals is your feeling. So you've got 4 bullets. I want to complete that. You've got your feelings, you've got your tasks, you've got events, and then you've got your thoughts. So it's like your 4 main bullets. But the paper is all the dots makes it easy for you to use it for whatever you want. If you want to draw your thoughts, diagrams, you want to write stuff down, it's all right there. And you can kind of make it what you want based on that basic, simple operating system. And it's just so awesome. Like, I'm probably doing it a disservice. It's not complicated at all, but he does a much better job explaining it. He's got an amazing YouTube channel. Just look up Bullet Journal, like bullet, Bullet journal. Look it up. I'm not affiliated anyway. I just think it's amazing. So if you want an operating system for your life, something that hasn't been working out, just check that out. You can customize it. And his YouTube, he breaks it down in so many different ways and shorts, and he does an amazing job explaining how to. I forgot his whole ultimate mission, but it's really impactful about getting your time back. Essentially,
that's huge. I mean, it's so cool to hear a story like that of someone who kind of found their purpose. And like this one thing, they're just going to go all in and make everything about. I sometimes envy those people because I feel like oftentimes in landscaping, there's just so many different directions we're going in, right? We've got branding and marketing to our clients. We have team members and culture, and obviously we have to do the work and perform the work and build the work and collect the work. And it's like, man, it'd be cool if we just had like one thing that we were just like amazing at.
Right.
just a journal, and we built that and built everything around that. But no, it's really cool to hear that. And do you typically journal in the morning or the evening? What's kind of your ideal time?
So the operating system is all day, right? So at the end of the day, you log. At the end of the day, you reflect on your day and you write some things down, and then you choose what you want to do for the following day. Like, what do I need to move over to the next day? And a lot of these things are overlapped from a lot of other journaling systems, but it's just kind of like the meat and potatoes. It's not all this extra, all these other bells and whistles. Like I said, so many other journals have so much extra stuff that I don't need, and it's just a waste of space and time, and it's discouraging.
It is.
So the bullet journal is just so open but not like a blank page, right? There's some direction there. There is an operating system there. Once you learn it, you got it, but you got to stay disciplined with it. You got to stay focused. So every day, every morning when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is read the Bible, to be honest with you, instead of getting distracted with all the things. And then
the phone is so
right.
easy.
And then after that, I have specific priorities. Like I go on my in my bullet journal, on my Remarkable, and I see the agenda for the day, make any adjustments if needed, anything new that popped up, I write that down, or cross something out if it's deleted or whatever. And then I just look at some priorities. I look at my text messages. Do I have any important urgent texts from my family or friends or work or something. And then emails. Do I have any urgent emails that I have to attend to? And then that's it. Then I move on to the next thing. There's nothing urgent from social media that someone couldn't have contacted me through an email or a missed voicemail, phone call with a voicemail or a text message. So those are my priorities. And I'll get to the social media stuff later. But like now I want to actually start my day and, if I haven't already had I'm usually having coffee in the midst of that, and get my breakfast ready and get my whole day started. So like I've already done all this, and some people are still sleeping.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or they've spent an hour doom scrolling.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Right. So
before you're even standing or sitting up, you've scrolled for half an hour, 45 minutes. That does not start your day off on the right foot.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. And I've learned, and I used to. I mean, by the way, this is so real, right? This seems so familiar because I've done all of these things. It's not like I'm just making this stuff up. Like this is all experience, and I have to be disciplined and intentional to stop doing those things and follow a better operating system. And I just love that term, operating system. Like, we talk about it for like your phone and things, but operating system for your life. Like, figure out your own operating system, your own OS. I love that. So that's what I've really been focusing on. I watch more and more videos of the bullet journal, learn more little tips, more little tricks, because, it's an operating system. So you have to learn, you have to learn, where to go for this or that, or have this idea. What's the best, most efficient way for this? How did they mean it to do for it to work? Well, maybe I can tweak it, so I'm learning all that while I'm doing it and really coming up with the best flow for me every day. So, but like, I just love all that because I have so many thoughts and so many notes on my phone, and it causes chaos and stress in my life if I'm not more organized. So just having an operating system for my life that I can write my thoughts down and have organization, it makes me actually feel more relieved and in more control. I have all these different events, and I can just plan them all out in advance and write this down, that down. Okay, I have to do this. I have to book this hotel. I have to get this restaurant contacted for this VIP dinner, like all these things, or delegate this to this person or that person or whatever, talk to Cornell as you want to MC my event again. You need this and that, like all these things, all these important tasks, but then there's thoughts and ideas that I'm constantly writing down as they come up too. So it's all in one operating system. It's great. All one comprehensive package. And that's what I've been looking for. So far it's been working well.
Yeah. Well, I think we use operating systems in our business, and, Mark Bradley always talks about Leanscaper as operating system. And as we start to journey into this next phase of our world where we have more and more autonomy, and whether you're starting your own business or you have your own business, or I think a lot of our leaders and managers in companies are going to have much more freedom because they're going to start to utilize technology to optimize a lot of what they do day to day. So your day, I think, is going to look a lot different in a year than it does today. And with that freedom comes, it's a very potential cliff. It's like a two-sided sword, right? It's like, you have all this freedom, but if you don't have a good structure, it's going to end up being more stressful. I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with this. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you queued me up. We never even talked about this. That's another thing that I've been recently, because I'm obsessed with time and everything around time. I've been creating frameworks around time, studying what I do to improve my time management. And one of the biggest things, again, this sounds so true because this is stuff that I struggled with, but by default, by default, I learned how to do this, and then I actually started by design learning this and then creating frameworks to show others. But the issue with that is you need to create boundaries to have freedom. Yeah. This is something that I've been talking about a lot recently, and I will continue in my live events, is think about if you only have one thing that you want to get done in a day and you don't give yourself any boundaries, you say, I just have one thing to get done today. It will take you all day to get that one thing done, right? There's something called Parkinson's law, right? Yeah. Like it's a thing where if something takes you 15 minutes, but you give yourself an hour, you'll take that whole hour because you'll waste 45 minutes or do who knows what in 45 minutes. And in the last 15 minutes, you'll just scramble and get it done. That's a waste of time. Give yourself 30 minutes so you have some freedom, 15-minute freedom, right? If it takes 15 minutes, give yourself 30 just in case something comes up, a little wiggle room. That's giving you freedom within that boundary. So if you just give yourself all day for that one thing, you either don't get it done or you get it half done or you're scrambling at the end of the night, you're staying up late, you're missing dinner, you're upsetting family, and ultimately you just feel terrible about yourself. Like, I had all day to do this and I waited till the last minute because you didn't create boundaries. So with the increased efficiency of using AI and systems in your business and technology and freeing yourself up from those kind of tasks that used to take your time, instead of just thinking you can just do whatever with that time, now you need to get better at creating boundaries. Like, okay, well, from 3 to 5, what am I going to do now? Well, I'm not going to just do nothing we're back to the default or design. How are you assigning that time? Are you letting it be assigned by default or by design? So creating boundaries is part of that. And that's what I do also is I time block. I go through and I used to hate all this stuff.
Me too.
I used to think
I hated this.
I thought it was like the most micromanaging ever. I'm such a spontaneous person, and there's something about spontaneity, but you can also plan spontaneity. You can schedule it. You can time block spontaneity, right? Yeah. Like, just give yourself a boundary, a window of opportunity so that you can be spontaneous. But if your whole life is flying by the seat of your pants and being spontaneous, then that's very stressful, not only for you, but for everyone around you.
Yes.
So assign your time, create boundaries, and just make sure that you are not being spontaneous. Because when I started time blocking, I realized I had more time.
Yeah.
I actually had more time because I was blocking out time to have more time. And I had more freedom within those boundaries. Like, literally, I can tell you my normal work days. I wake up at 6. From 6 to 9, I have 3 hours. There's a boundary, a time block. I'm not doom scrolling for 3 hours. Half of that is what I already said I do. Mm-hmm. Of course, my family, depending on who's home and what's going on, everyone's got different schedules, so I'm interacting with that. And then from 9 to 3 is my in the field time. Whether I'm out, on a lawn or I'm creating content, whatever that looks like. 9 to 3 is the out of the house field time. And then from 3 to 5 is my conference calls, my podcast recordings, any other type of meetings that I have to have that isn't in the field. And then after 5, that's work's over. From 5 o'clock on is family time. We've got, and then I focus on my priorities and work backwards from there. Like, okay, we have date night. My wife and I have date night on Thursday nights, right? So from 5 o'clock on Thursday, it's date night. And then Monday is Costco, date night number 2, right? If you know. So, 5 o'clock, we meet up.
Pizza.
We go to Costco, we do shopping, get some stuff, some food, whatever. And now they got some mint chocolate fudge crazy ice cream I got to check out now there at Costco. So I'm like, oh, no.
They always got a new reason to go.
Yeah. And then Tuesday, we got like the gym, Wednesday, the gym, Friday the gym, and then Saturday, Sunday is family time where we're doing whatever we want to do, So you just really got to focus on your priorities, time blocking, but creating boundaries is what's really going to be necessary going forward as you free up more time, or technology and systems free up more time. It's not for you to waste that time. It's for you to be more productive by being more purposeful with your time and assigning that time so that you actually have the time.
Yeah. It's interesting, I think, when people don't assign time and give a block of time a purpose and fulfill that purpose, you end up just not getting much of anything done. And then you're on everyone else's to-do list. Like, you're responding to emails, and there's a time for that, right? And for me, I've tested out this new thing. It's been like 3 weeks now. I realized my wife and I, from somewhere around like 8:30 or 9 until 10:30, we weren't doing much together. She's looking at social, or she's reading her book or watching her show. And, I was kind of catching up on emails, kind of half-assed. And I decided, hey, like, what if when I come home and I get home at 6 p.m. at the latest, and it's like our thing, I put my phone away completely. And like, we have a rule, it goes in the drawer. I try to be good about this. It's hard. I'm not perfect. And then at 8:30, depending on where things are at, or 9, I'll go back and I'll sit down on my computer, not my phone, and I will do some learning. And what I've been doing lately is just trying to understand every new AI development coming out. So from 8:30 till 10, I'm learning about AI. I'm trying to understand all this new stuff happening. And it's a time where my brain works really well around like absorbing, because I've kind of given everything I can that day, and I'm like at the end, and now I'm ready to receive. And then at 10, I shut everything off and I read for about half an hour, and then I try to get sleep between 10:30 and 11. But Drew. and it's been really nice though. Like it's worked well for both of us, because and I'll compare this to before. Before it was like from 6 to 10, I was kind of on and off my phone. Like, we'd be talking or doing this, and then as soon as she would look at her phone, I would look at my phone, and then I would be in emails or texting. And our team, we're doing so much stuff. We have a lot of team members working late and early, and we're kind of pretty much between 4 a.m. and midnight or 1 a.m. I can text someone at my team, and they're working, because of the way we kind of have different shifts almost. And it's really dangerous, though. And I can only imagine people like Elon Musk, who has people working around the clock. It's like you can always text someone, so you're always working. You have that ability. And being on and off for 4 hours versus 0, and then 1 hour on, I'm getting way more done just being 1 hour on, and I'm learning a lot more too.
It's like you were task snoozing.
Yes, exactly.
Because
that's a good way to put it.
Right? Because if you sleep, it's bad to snooze when you sleep, because you're actually doing more harm than good. Like your body wakes up, and then you snooze back, and then your body tries to go back into a sleep cycle, and you just keep messing that up, and you actually end up in like this crazy weird version of like sleep apnea for a while after doing that. So it's better to just wake up immediately and just start your day, no matter how tired you are, because you think, I'm so exhausted, I'm just going to snooze for a little while longer, but you're really just being counterproductive, versus just getting up and then maybe later on in the day take a 1 or 2 hour nap or something, or a small nap in the middle of the day instead of right after you woke up. So task snoozing, you're just dabbling back and forth in these tasks, and you're not really fully getting everything done, instead of dedicating an hour to it and then some time off. And I've studied so much of this recently, looking for the right journals, that I forgot, like there's the Eisenhower method and some other thing. There's all these different ways of assigning our time, and, like 40 minutes on, 20 minutes off or whatever. There's these different ratios, because you can only focus on something for so long at a time. So you got to give yourself a little bit of break, freshen up, and then go back on task or switch tasks, but you got to give yourself enough time. You can't just be snoozing back and forth through your tasks on and off. So
it's true. I mean, I struggle with that in the morning, of like the snooze button. And I totally agree. And I notice this because when I'm at events and I have to be somewhere or do a talk or just like, I always, when I'm at an event, I want to be there for breakfast. I want to network. I want to be there for the first speaker. That's just a non-negotiable. And so I can't hit the snooze button. Like, I got to get up. And then when I'm at home and I don't have that hardcore meeting, sometimes I'll hit the snooze button a couple times, and I realize, wow, I got more sleep, but I feel much more tired throughout the day. And it's really interesting. So now I'm trying to put my phone like in the bathroom.
Yes, in another room, so you have to get up and turn it off. Exactly.
You're like, well, I'm standing, so I might as well just keep pushing
100%. And this was the steps for me. I did this too, and I would like look at my bed and I would just contemplate life. Like, maybe I'm just going to get back in. So now I have to get my phone and go straight downstairs and turn on, or the coffee's actually ready to go. I mean, I just put my mug in there and press go. It's like I have to get moving. As soon as I start moving and getting out of that inertia, and now I'm flowing. I got that momentum. So, and I don't want to go back to bed, So, and at one point I would actually make it all the way downstairs, and then I would sit on the couch, and then I would start falling asleep on the couch. Like, this is a whole process, right? You got to be disciplined and intentional and purposeful, and learn and execute, and just. No one's perfect. We're all work in progress. So, but now I wake up, I go downstairs, make my coffee, read, start going through my day, and I've already gotten so much more accomplished, more than a lot of other people. And I'm not waking up at like 4 a.m. to do it or anything crazy like that. I think 6 a.m. is perfectly fine. Sometimes it's a little bit before 6 if my dog's like, I really got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, sometimes the dog's alarm clock.
Yeah, sometimes the dog's like, I really got to go this morning. Can we get out of bed now? I'm like, oh man, it's 5:45. I had 15 more minutes. Dang it.
Our bull mastiff's like 100. He's inside. He's like 120 pounds now, and he's just a puppy. He's like 8 months.
Oh man. And
so he'll climb on the bed around that time, like 5:45, 6, and he pretty much just comes on and he just puts his paw right on my face. And I'm just like, dude, all right, I'm getting up.
Yeah, they're good about that. Yeah.
And then my thing is like, if I can get my ass out here outside and get into the cold plunge, and it's like terrible, but as soon as you get out of it, you're so like, it's the best cup of coffee. And you're not going back to sleep after that. You're like, all right.
Yeah. You're ready to rock and roll. Yeah. And for those of you that don't have a cold plunge, you can do what's called a contrast shower. Yet again, something else I read in a book. You just do hot, cold, the 3-to-1 ratio. So if you get in the shower and you turn it on hot for 3 minutes, and then you switch it to cold for 1 minute, and then you do that 3 cycles and you end on cold, you are ready to go for the end of the day. This is something that professional athletes do. Contrast baths, like they get an ice bath, the sauna or the hot tub and the ice bath, and they go back and forth. It's the contrast because it improves your circulation. Not only does it wake you up, it's also really good for your body. And as long as you don't have heart problems, if you're a healthy person, it improves your circulation because your blood is going inside your body when you're cold, and it's pushing itself back out when it's hot. So your blood is circulating much more when you do a contrast showers like that. So, and it also helps you wake up for sure.
For sure. I did that in where was I recently? Canada. And we were up in the snow, and I was like, and that's like, I don't have my cold plunge. I'm like, I'll do the cold shower. So I get in, it's hot, great. I'll turn it to cold, and dude, that water was so fucking cold. I was like, oh, that is not like California cold water. That is real.
It's crisp.
Crisp. Yeah. Yeah. A few degrees makes a big difference, but I was awake and we were going, man.
There you go. Ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one other thing I wanted to talk about, and we'll wrap here in a little bit. I want to make sure you get to the airport on time. Is just this idea of building a brand. We talked about the brand, but really the benefit of building a brand within your company. I talk to a lot of people out there who are struggling with marketing in their landscape business. They're not getting enough clients. They're struggling to grow. They're not really getting the traction on recruitment that they'd like to see. And so I just give a quick peek at social, and I see they post, once a month, or maybe they haven't posted for 6 months. And what is your take on that? Just this idea of social media and marketing in general, branding in general, having your logos on your trucks. Obviously, you've done a lot of this on your personal brand, but I wanted to talk a little bit about that for the company side, trades company, whatever company. What's your take on that as far as social media playing a part in marketing?
Yeah, I've always been big in branding. Like my lawn care business, like I brand it very specifically, right? Like I've got a big white trailer with gigantic green logo on the sides, no contact information on the side, just huge logo. All the contact information is on the back with the logo because people are going to be behind you if they're going to actually write stuff down or read stuff. When they're driving by you, they're not going to see all of the stuff that you put on there. No shade. I'm just saying, like, this is how I thought. Like, they're not going to focus on that when they're driving by, but they'll see the logo. Yep. And now that's in their brain constantly, and now they can look you up, or they can stop and check it out, talk to you if they see you, so if you're parked in front of a house, then they can stop and they can see. But I've gotten so many people that are behind me at a red light or following me out of a neighborhood, and they see my content and they call me, literally, I'm behind you, and they call me for a quote. I've gotten commercial properties that way because they lived in the neighborhood that I was in, and they had a property, down the street. And so anyway, so I'm all about branding and strategically, and then there's like all of my mailers look just like my truck, like, one side's bit white with the, big green logo, and the other side has all the information for them to read. My business cards look exactly the same. Our shirts look the same. They're not white, but they're actually
that would
be bad. They're charcoal gray with the bright green logo. Like nothing crazy, but it's just very specific with branding and being intentional and strategic without overthinking it. But also, ultimately, I think it's important going forward more than ever to separate ourselves from the noise. That's what branding does. Like branding is more than.
Way to put it.
Yeah, it separates you from the noise. Branding is telling a story. Like the best branding tells a story. So what story do you want to tell about yourself or your business, your brand? And that's what people remember, right? There's a lot of athletic apparel clothes out there, but everyone knows Nike. Yeah. Right? But there's a gazillion of them out there, and they're all in the mix making some money, but no one's making money like Nike.
No.
Right? I mean, they're the top.
Phil Knight built something special.
Right. So there's just, I mean, that's just one extreme example, but you can think of all kinds of Under Armour and Pepsi and Coca-Cola and all the, there's a lot of, McDonald's, there's a lot of huge brands out there and little brands that become big brands. But my point is they all tell a story. And they separate themselves from their competition, from the noise, from everything else. It's all about the story. Your brand is a story. So what kind of story are you going to tell? And there's a lot of people mowing lawns and doing landscaping. And it's really easy to honestly separate yourself with some branding.
Yeah.
Find a nice clean logo if you don't already have one, not something that everyone else has that you just found online, with the cartoon dude and the mower and all these things.
Make it original.
Yeah, I mean, with AI, you can literally do that now. Like, it's not like that big of a deal anymore. No offense to the, all the designers out there, but you can literally, this is why we're going into connection, because the AI can do so many things now. So it's like, it's going to be challenging to stay connected above and beyond that. But so you can easily just have AI design a nice logo for you, and you can get that put up on your shirts and your trailer or your truck. If you have an open trailer, it's harder, so you can just have your truck logoed up and just separate yourself. I see so many people driving through the neighborhoods and they got nothing on anything. And I'm like, are they chucking the trucks? Are they the weekend warriors?
I think of that too.
Do they not care? Do they not want more business? They're good where they are. How can you be good where you are? Yeah. You should always be, whether you want to, I'm not saying everyone needs to be a $20 million business and not everyone, needs to be a solo owner operator. There's something in between for everyone. But my point is you always should be rotating your customers, and you should always keep the flow going, because people, your best customer is not always going to be your best customer, right? Just like your best employee is not always going to be your best employee. Things happen. Now all of a sudden they're your worst customer, or they just fall off, they drop off, they cancel. Maybe they don't like you anymore, or you made a mistake and it's just one and done with them, no 3 strikes, or their son's taking over the lawn, which happens plenty of times for me. Whatever it is, right? But if you don't have a steady flow of leads, then you're going to be stuck. Like Chuck in a truck, you know, and you're just going to be like, oh man, you're just working all day, every day thinking that's the answer. But if you just had a little bit of branding to separate yourself, that's going to attract more leads just in and of itself. But then you can, once you have that branding, then you can take it on social media. It doesn't have to be crazy. Have a Facebook business page or website, any combination of that. If you just want a free Facebook business page, you can start there, right? Instagram, start there. It's free, and just put some posts up there and some videos of yourself doing the work and before and afters and the branding, so that you get in front of people's minds so that they can remember you. And so I think branding is solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And really getting leads is one of the biggest problems, because you also want good leads. You might be getting the wrong leads because you don't have branding either. That's a whole other story for another day.
Yeah, that's scary though. When people seek out like if you're getting calls because people want your business and you don't have logos, they're going to almost assume you're the cheap guy.
Correct.
But if you have a nice truck with a nice logo and you get a phone call because they saw it, they're going to expect to pay a little more.
Correct.
I heard this recently that every human wants to inherently improve by 10% a year, just whether it's financially or in a way of skill sets. You kind of want to grow 10% a year, and I think it's the same thing for businesses. And when I think about how expensive things are getting in our world and inflation, it's kind of crazy if you aren't growing 10% a year. I don't know if you actually are even staying stable. Like, you may be losing ground. I think 10% a year growth is the new break even. That's like where you just can be able to give everyone a nice raise, and you're paying all your bills that are going up, and your utilities that are going up, and your truck bills that are going up, and gas prices are going up. Everything's going up. So if you're not growing 10% a year by adding clients or increasing pricing or, new leads, I think you're kind of falling behind. And so I think when people just try to stay where they are, 2, 3, 4 years goes by and they're not in a good place. And then it's really hard to invest in branding, and it's really hard to get out and go get new leads when you're in a bad spot.
Right. You end up just spinning your wheels and ending up in a vicious cycle. And the only way to break out of that is if you're in that, unfortunately, the only way to break out of that is to make some sacrifices. Like, okay, well, I'm going to have to bite the bullet with, budget wise, and, I'm not going to be able to do this or that. I'm going to have to use some money to get out of this hole a little bit, invest in some branding or invest in a website or, whatever the thing is that you're lacking or missing, or invest in a coaching group or mentorship program, whatever, so that you can get out of the hole that you or out of the cycle that you're stuck in, because you'll just keep running around. That's how you get burned out, and that's why it's sad when I hear these stories. And it's like, it's always easier from the outside looking in, right? Of course, because you can easily, and that yet another reason why getting around other people,
true,
getting in different environments, just getting around someone other than your inner circle, your little bubble, they can just kind of help identify things that maybe you're over, because you have your head down, you're working hard, you're trying to get it done, you're doing this for your family. I get it, but follow nature's framework. I don't want to go down another rabbit hole, but this is
I like it.
It's something else that
I believe in this.
Yeah, it's something else that I talk about in the LCR Summit, and I'll talk about again at the Profit Accelerator Live too. But nature's framework, there's seasons, right? You don't hustle and grind your life away. Nature doesn't hustle and grind all day, every day, 365 days. There's seasons of hustle and grind. We're coming up on spring. It's called the spring rush for a reason, because nature explodes in the spring. It spends all of its energy, or most of its energy, in the spring to grow, but it doesn't sustain that, right? Then it goes into summer and it's in maintenance mode to maintain what it's grown, and then fall, now we're collecting the harvest from everything that we grew, and then winter it rests and prepares for the process to start all over again in the spring. So there's a whole framework there that I also went into a lot of deep research and figured out how we work in the seasons, right? We have to work with nature's seasons, but there's actually systems there that we can follow for nature's framework. I call it the time to go system. Like, how do you have a 4-season time management system following nature's framework? Every season you manage your time differently. Based on that, and also the money flow system, where you can manage your money differently for seasons so that you can be profitable all year long. It's just following nature's framework. Like, why work against the number one, production system in the world? It is the world.
It is. It is nature. Literally the world.
Right. It's undefeated. So let's help it a little bit, right? Let's not, defeat it, but let's also use the framework that nature already has. It's been doing it forever.
I love that. I think there's so many patterns in nature, whether it's wild animals or plants or just the forest ecosystem, that we can look at and learn from how the forest works together to help each other. And I tie that back to community, right? Some of the trees are way at the top trying to get all the sun, and then, it blocks some sun, but it actually protects the plants below and feeds them nutrients through the root system and the microhazy and all of that geeky stuff that we could get into. But it's really cool to be in the landscape industry, because it makes sense to tie back to your business. And when you talk about winter is a time to restore, a time to save energy and save money. We've been on this kick of, like, in our business, it's really hard to not lose money in the winter. It's almost impossible. And we've started to structure things to where we do have the spring ramp up, and winter is much more of a slower investment period, but we're not investing money, we're investing time. And I think that's a different way to look at things. And it's just, it's done well for us.
Yeah. And something else too, a little tweak, something else I discovered, when you look at farmers, what they follow nature's framework because they're on they're on the farm, like that's their life. But so what farmers do is they actually collect their harvest in the fall, like you're supposed to, and they actually save a certain part of their harvest for the winter, so that in the winter, what they're doing is they're literally sharpening their axes. They're sharpening their tools. They're replacing their equipment with the harvest from the fall that they saved for the winter to prepare for the spring. Usually we wait till the spring to do all that because our cash flow is increasing, but that's because we didn't take our harvest, our profits from the fall.
Yes.
And take some of because there's a huge influx in the fall for most of us, right? Because everything's going on. I don't know about you, but I'm doing all of my services, except maybe mulch, in the fall, right? Like it's everything. Spring is most, but fall is every. I'm aerating and seeding, cleaning leaves, mowing, fertilizing. You know, you're doing all these things, except I don't do mulch in the fall. But so you're doing a whole lot more, and you think, wow, look at all this money. Now I can invest it in this, or spend it here, or do that, or put it in savings. And yes, but you need to also have part of that savings should be what I call winter savings. And that's part of my, money flow system is have a winter savings, which is taking some of your profits throughout the year to have for winter so that you can replace that trimmer or upgrade that mower or get a new this or that or finally get that truck fixed that's been a pain in the neck or whatever it is in the winter. When you think, oh, I don't have any money, it's slow, but if you had that money saved aside, now you can do the work. You can have the guys stain trailers, fix this and that, pay them for it, pay for the supplies, and then in the spring you're ready to go. You're not now scrambling to do that in the spring, and then you get crushed by the spring rush.
I love that. That makes a ton of sense, and probably in the winter you're going to get the best pricing. If you're upgrading things too, right?
Correct, because everything's slow. People are desperate. They're looking for some money.
Come on, take this.
Yeah, I drop all my equipment off in the winter because they're bored. They got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So they do all my stuff. It gets done immediately, ready to go. I don't have to scramble in the spring. Everything's broken. I'm like, Yeah, it's a totally different mentality. We're used to just running a certain way, but when you really start studying certain things like in nature, you start to really think like, wow, what have I been doing all this time, And some of it was intuitive for me, but some of it became more intentional as I really started studying this more and like there's got to be a better way to do some of this stuff. So, and just different things throughout the last decade of me being in business and figuring this out and reading books and taking this from that and that from this and just really combining what works and sharing it with others. Hey, it worked for them too. Look at that, and it just...
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
I also think part of this is a multi-year approach too, right? Because you're always going to have a drought or a recession or something else. And a farmer actually told me this. He said, whenever we have a bumper year, just like through the roof, way more than we expected in harvest, and things are going great and money's everywhere, we always take a good chunk of that and put it away because we know in the next 5 years we're going to have a really bad year. No one's going to hit their bonus. We're not going to have overtime to pay the team in the field. And we're going to have this, little 10, 20% of our really good year set aside that we can dig into and pay everybody for their hard work. Because farming's a hard one. No matter how hard you work, the profits are mostly determined on external factors, whether how's the ground, what's the market, right, for like lettuce or grapes or blueberries, whatever you're selling. It could be 3 to 4x normal, or it could be a lot less depending on the quality and the supply and demand. And I think that's good for us to remember is like there's always going to be a drought every 5 to 10 years. And if you're not saving up every year a little bit, that could really hurt. That could really hurt.
And it also all starts with the seeds. The quality of the seed that you plant in the soil. So what quality seeds are you planting in your soil, in yourself? What kind of mental
information
seeds?
You're taking
information, the mind, like what words are you listening to from others? Those are seeds, right? What food are you putting in your body? That's seeds, nutrition, right? What kind of physical activities to strengthen the outside of your body? Those are seeds.
What thoughts are you giving?
What thoughts are you thinking about yourself and others are seeds. Those are all seeds that you're consuming and you're planting into your soil. You are the garden. So like what it all starts just like a farmer. Yes, there are external environments, but it's all about the seeds to start having the healthy crop. If you have bad seeds, then you're just going to have a bad crop, right? So sow the right seeds, sow good quality seeds into yourself.
Wow. And same with the soil, right? So if you can think of your brain as a little bit of like the soil and the seeds information you're taking in, where are you getting the bulk of your information from? And if you're looking at Instagram,
right.
And any kind of short form content, I think is dangerous because, man, it's context switching, like boom, boom, boom. You're going to like every 30 seconds, it's a completely new thing. Like, that's a cool car. Wow, that's a good idea about business. Wow, that's a nice golf shot. Like, it's just crazy,
right.
like how your brain's like, dude, what the?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's overwhelmed because they want you to just stay fixated on it, and you're just hooked, and you're just going down the scroll, the rabbit hole of stuff. But yeah, all that seeds, So like, be intentional with your time. Be intentional with the content that you're consuming. Be intentional with the people you're surrounding yourself with. Be intentional with how you're spending your money. Are you spending your money? Are you investing your money? Right?
Yeah.
Like, are you investing your money on yourself? Or are you just spending money on others and other things in your business? Don't forget about yourself. Yep. Invest in nutrition. Invest in education. Invest in experiences. That's a huge one. Like that's
bucket list. I love bucket list stuff.
That's all going to make you, because you know what, the best, I learned this also from another book. The best way to happiness is to build experiences, because as long as you still have a good memory, those can never be taken away from you. Like, you can get a really nice car, or a nice watch and feel great, but that just goes away eventually. It breaks or falls apart or becomes normal, right? But like a memory of a great time somewhere, some way, of an experience by yourself, with others, all the above, that's going to bring you happiness every time you think about it. And no one can ever take that. No one can steal that from you, like a car or a watch or, a house that gets destroyed in a storm, like all these things, right? But memories, as long as you still have your memories, you can't, they can never be taken from you. So that's the best way to happiness, is to just keep creating memories. That's why my wife and I are obsessed with going places all the time with our kids. We're always, we travel anywhere we can, as many times as possible. Vacations to day trips to weekends, for a hike for the day in some epic place in the Virginia mountains, like whatever it is, to go to the beach for the weekend, like whatever we can do just to create experiences and memories that will last a lifetime.
I think that's such a great way to look at things. Growing up, we didn't have a ton of material things. My parents ran the landscape business, but what we did have is we always went to the lake, or we always went camping. We did a lot of camping. And I look back and I was like, I kept asking my dad for that dirt bike, and he kept saying the same thing, go to work and earn the money and you can buy a dirt bike. But he would take us camping. And when I think about it, it's like, camping isn't that cheap. You have a camper, got to go buy all the food and everything else. So they were spending money, but it wasn't on materialistic things. It was on experiences. And I super grateful for that, because I have those memories which serve me much better today, and really at a subconscious level too.
100%.
Those experiences create a foundation for us and for kids, especially if you have kids, like to invest in your time in your kids. It's huge. Question: what book or books would you recommend? What are some recent reads that have been awesome?
I will recommend my favorite book of last year, my most recommended and gifted book. I will continue it this year because I haven't found a new book yet that has eclipsed that. There's a lot of great books, but 10X is easier than 2X. Have you heard of that one?
I have. I've read it.
You've read it, so you know what I'm talking about.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Dr.
Benjamin Hardy.
Benjamin Hardy. Have you read his new book, Science of Scaling?
Not yet, no.
I'm scared to read it.
I think I listened to it.
Okay.
Or maybe I listened.
Or it's the scaling science.
It's something about the science of scaling, I think.
Yeah.
I definitely signed up for something. I think I was able to get, either it was just part of the book or it was the whole book that I listened to, but I definitely listened to a bunch of it, if not the whole thing. But I don't have the physical copy, but But yeah, no, that's everything he does is amazing. But what I like about 10x easier than 2x is he combines several different things. Like I listened to Slipstream, I think is what it's called, Slipstreaming or something, where he talks about that in 10x versus is easier than 2x. You know, about how you can essentially slipstream through time, like you can speed up time and like get more out of time, and how time is not relative, or it's not fixed. It's like everyone's time is different, based on how you use it. And the whole concept 10x is easier than 2x is one thing, but within that concept I really like about time, because I'm obsessed with time. And he talks about how, and in his whole book about this, but in this one he summarizes that you can take 10 years, one person can take 10 years to do something, and another person can take 2 years to do it, and now they have 8 more years left of their life to live what they just achieved, right?
Yeah.
So just think about it from a monetary perspective. Like, if your goal is to make $1 million in your business in 10 years, but someone else makes it in 2 years, they have 8 years left of their life. Yeah. Like, so you essentially live longer. You live more time by doing that, by taking less time to achieve certain things, right? Like, I'm going to wait 10 years to go on this epic vacation. Well, what if you can do it in 2 years? Yeah. And what if you do that every 2 years? Think of how many more vacations you can take in that 10 years instead of waiting for 10 years. That's why he's saying focus on these big 10x goals, because even if you don't achieve that 10x goal, you're going to do way more than 2x. And not only that, 2x, he says, is linear, and you're essentially just doing, it's like, I want to go from 1 million to 2 million. That's hard, and that's exhausting, because you're just doing more of the same thing. You're just doubling all of your pains. But if you go 10x, well, we can't do the same stuff that we do now to get to 10x. We need to eliminate some things. We need to hire some different people. We need to grow. We need to shrink. We have to rethink. New
operating system.
Yeah, exactly. We need to rethink some things to get to 10x. And I think he quotes Elon Musk, who said most of us are operating on, I forgot the amazing words, but essentially we're most of us are operating on like old software, essentially, just outdated stuff. Like, we're not optimizing. That's the words. We're not optimizing our time properly. Like, we're just still doing things we're just doing things to do things. Like, oh, that's just the way we've always done it, and it's just a waste. We're not optimizing our time. Like, he's really big about optimizing everything and making it as efficient as possible. And that's what the whole book, it really focuses on. 10x is easier than 2x, and I think it's a great book, great concept, and it really makes you think. And I've listened to it over and over again. I've got the hard copy. I was at a conference that Dr. Hardy was at, so he had a copy on everyone's seat, so I got a free copy.
Did you hear him speak?
Yeah, multiple times. He's amazing.
I'm tracking him down. I'm such a big fan.
He's reducing his speaking and his podcast now, because he's 10xing himself now. Like, his next 10x is, I want to focus on this book. Yeah. He has a whole new
framework.
Like he's got a whole new website and everything, like a whole new, like a coaching program. Like, he's doing a whole new thing, and not just being an author that's getting on every podcast and speaking everywhere. Yeah. It's like, no. The book is a tool and a resource that's part of the whole overall system, the whole framework. So he's really cut down a lot of his stuff. So it's going to be hard to find him. But.
It is. I saw a video. It's like his I saw an ad for him recently, and I kind of clicked through and watched his little 5-minute video, and it's so good. Like, I almost signed up on the spot, and I was like, wow, this guy's good. And like, I see through most of that, but the reason is like, it's not like he's trying to sell you another course.
Right.
He truly believes that if you're a $20 million business, you can be a $200 million business in 3 years. And there's a framework, there's a process, there is a recipe, just like baking a cake. And when you follow the recipe and you're totally committed to this, that it's almost inevitable. Like, it's really hard to not 10x in 3 years. And we just recently redid our 10-year plan and kind of laid out our 3, 5, and 10-year goals. And our 5-year goal is to go from 20 million to 200 million. And every person I've shown that to is like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is Justin, you're way too audacious. Like, be careful. And we're also trying to do this without private equity. So we're doing this in a very like bootstrap direction. and of course, every private equity company I tell this to is like, oh, that's impossible. But listening to the science of scaling, 10x is easier than 2x, and the whole mindset behind what Dr. Hardy is teaching, I truly think that the answers to what we're trying to accomplish are in that framework.
100%. And the other book that I'm a fan of is The Gap and the Gain. So he talks about with the 10x versus 2x, like even if you get to 8x, you've still, and not 10x. Most people are like, oh, I failed, I didn't make it to 10x. But it's like, well, the gap versus the gain is focus on what you've done. Focus on the gain, not the gap.
Yeah.
Look in the rear view mirror and be like, wow, I was only at 1x and now I'm at 8x. Like, look at what we've accomplished. Look at what we've eliminated, what we've created, all the stuff that we've done to make ourselves better and our business better, all because we were focusing on 10x. Okay, we got 8x instead of 10x, but we came really far. Look in the rear view mirror. He said at any point in your life, if you just look in the rear view mirror of your life, look at yourself a month ago, a year ago, and say, wow, I've really come a long way. Yeah. Like, think of yourself back then. Would you have envisioned that you were where you are right now back then? So if you think about the gain, you will be happier. But most people think about the gap. They think about what they didn't achieve instead of what they did. Yeah. They think about they fell short instead of how far they've come. So that's why most people are unhappy in life, because they focus on the gap. And I think part of our society kind of is that too. Like, you just,
totally.
It's just, you got to do that. It's just like, you got to work your life away. You know, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I think that contributes too. So that's why we need to be very disciplined in our own seeds, the seeds that we put in our own thoughts, so that we can make sure that we are not focusing on the gap, and that we're gain mentality, focusing on what we're actually doing well, what we're gaining. We're gaining ground. We're making progress.
Dude, it's so true. Like, when you focus on what you've accomplished versus what you didn't get done, like, I've got a lot of tattoos, and one of them on my finger says hustle. I got it when I was 24. And the idea behind it was like, I'm just going to hustle every single day. And like, I did. And a lot of good came from that, but a lot of not good came from that. Like, I had to go through the journey of believing that hustle was the way. And I remember someone telling me like 5 years ago, I was probably 30, and it was at a small conference, and this woman heard me speak, and she came up and she was like, hey, and she was older, probably like 55, and she's like, I really worry about your hustle mentality. And I was like, that's the only way. Like, and she's just like, you really should think about like, like this balance. And I just was like, ugh, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't even want to talk to you. And it was just where I was at the time. Like, I was just head down hustling, and I'm proud of what we've accomplished, but I'm also now, I was talking to my buddy Nolan, who's my tattoo artist and one of my best friends. And I was like, I'm going to have you draw a line through hustle and like write something else next to it. And maybe that's a little trashy, but the idea is like, I think you sometimes have to go through these really challenging points where you do have to hustle. And then after that, you have to take a break, and you have to look at things and reset things. And that could be a 10-year hustle, or now I'm like in this cycle where I work really hard for 4 or 5 days in a row, and then I take a very dedicated rest day. And sometimes it's a weekday. Usually it's a Saturday or Sunday, and it's just a time to reflect and reset. And in the past, I'd go years, maybe months for sure, without taking a day off and a rest day. And I think that's like, I don't even know how I did it. But
it's hard to sustain that, And I say, when I talk about that and hustle and grinding, I use gym analogies, because I've always been a fitness enthusiast, and at one point I thought about being a personal trainer back in the retail management days as a way to get out of retail management, because I just loved fitness. But it's just, so I use this analogy a lot. Like, you can't go to the gym all day every day and work yourself and work out. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna overwork your muscles, and you're gonna strain yourself. Like, but you do have to put your muscles under a certain amount of stress, strategically, routinely, so that you can get stronger, right? You have to break the muscles down. You have to hustle, right? You have to work yourself, but then you have to rest and allow your muscles to recover and grow. Yeah. That's the only way that you're going to grow, is if you rest after you stress. Yeah. So you just have to have that strategic cycle. So I get the whole, like, I thought I was a workaholic at one point, I mean, we probably all are in some way, but it's like you just have to remember those kind of key focuses and be disciplined and not hustle and grind your life away. Again, nature doesn't hustle and grind 24/7. There's ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for my team, and part of it's my fault that they work so hard. But a lot of them haven't been taking their full vacation, whether it's a week or 3 weeks or whatever their allotment is. And at the end of the year, I've been starting to think of like maybe doing a bonus for everyone who did use all their vacation days. Because it's a little bit like, oh, Jim's on vacation again today. And I'm like, fucking good. Because he works like 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like, don't shame him for that. We should celebrate him for that.
Right.
And I think it's a little bit of like, I'm trying to figure out ways to.
That's a disruptive way of thinking.
Exactly.
I like that.
It is. It is. Well, now that I said it, my team probably is going to call me out, and so I'm going to have to do it. That's part of it. Sometimes you got to say things, and then then you're leveraged. So, Naylor, I want to wrap up. You've been such a great guest. Thank you so much for coming out and doing this in person. It's awesome to see you. I want to ask before we go. I always ask for a trade secret on the Trades Talk podcast, and you shared so much, but I'd love to get one last little piece of advice or a trade secret that you have for our listeners today.
Well, my hat says Me 2.0 because this is the...
Yeah, I didn't even ask you about that.
This is the version 2.0 of me. After I quit retail and went all into lawn care, I really focused on myself. Like, I didn't just focus on... Like, literally, I had two main things that I was doing when I started lawn care was how to go from a homeowner to be a professional, but I was also really like focusing on self-help. Like, I was listening to all the mindset and self-help books that I could find, and there was hardly any podcasts at the time in our industry, but whatever I could find, anything audible that would help get my mind in a better place to try and heal myself. Mentally and just repair the damage from everything that happened in my life up to that point. So I was really focused on the version 2 of myself before I even realized that to call it that or anything like that. I was just really focused on how do I build the business that I want and how do I rebuild my life to the way that I want it? How do I become a better version of myself, the 2.0 version of myself? So I spent a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of resources in focusing on healing myself and rebuilding myself and strengthening myself to be who is sitting here next to you. Like, I would have never imagined being in this scenario, 10, 12 years ago.
Same here, man. But it's so cool.
But it was intentional. It's not like it wasn't by accident or by chance. I make my opportunities. I make my luck. I open. I walk through the doors that are open for me, and then I open my own doors as well. Like,
I'm glad you're saying that right now because I think it's important to state that.
And it's not just something that you hear like, oh, you're lucky. I really truly believe you create your own luck by putting in the work.
Yeah. Right.
The reason why I have such a good relationship with Equip Expo is because I put in the work. I created an event that they found out about, and someone connected them to me, and then we started talking, and then I said, hey, you're really close to me. You're only a couple hours north in Virginia. Maybe we can get together over the winter. Sure, come on out. Spent the whole day with them, had lunch, got to know Chris Kaiser, the president of everything.
Absolute OG.
Became like besties, and he invited me to speak at their conference, and I'm like, what? Doors just opened that I created the opportunity for myself. I saw the door and I walked straight through it. I didn't just get all hesitant about it and reluctant. Like, I'm like, here's an opportunity. I'm going to build on this opportunity. And now look, I do all kinds of stuff with Equip, and we have a good relationship. I've met so many people through that relationship. That's just one of many examples. I remember driving home for 2 hours thinking to myself, did that just happen? Because he literally invited me. He's like, you like to talk, huh? And I'm like, when I'm passionate about stuff, yeah. He's like, yeah, that's what I say too. And, they always get on my case, about it because I don't shut up. And I'm like, and he's like, how would you like to talk at the annual OPEI conference? Like, if you were in a room of like all, 100-something CEOs of the company, what would you say? And I'm like, I thought for like 10 seconds and was like, I would talk to him about, this was in 2019.
Okay.
And so this was 7 years ago, and I said I would talk to them about the importance of social media and building community. He was like, all right, would you like to come? He's like, would you like to come talk? It's going to be in Utah. And I thought it was a joke. I was like, yeah, sure. Thinking to myself, what did I get myself into? Well, sure enough, they followed up. But I'm driving home like, wow, did that really just happen? Am I really about to speak in front of Toro and every single major company in our industry's CEO and VP?
Dude.
It was crazy. Wow. And that's how there's so many. This is a whole other thing, but there's so many. That opened so many other doors. Yeah. You know, for one thing, on stage, my phone blew up with all these Facebook friend notifications from everybody in the audience. And then everyone knew who I was after that, you know, and everyone wanted to pick my brain and talk to me. How can they work with content creators? We're thinking about this. And so I helped massage and tweak and give ideas all the way around. And I already knew some of the people. Like I knew Ed Wright already with Wright Manufacturing. I already knew him. He wasn't the CEO yet. Yeah. He was the VP. Great friend to have to then be, you know, takes over for his dad, you know.
That's cool.
So, I mean, a lot of stories like that, but they were all there. And it just opened even more doors behind the scenes that no one will ever even know, you know, all because I was there on stage talking to everyone because back, you know, like just got connected with them from an event that I did. And it just one thing led to another, but it was intentional. It wasn't by accident. It wasn't like I was someone just a bystander or whatever. I was actually taking action and seeing how far this would go and where would this go. So I live my life like that.
I love that. And I think so many people listening to this know that they walk through those doors, like walk by those doors. And like, it's just like, you got to open that first door. And I can relate to this. And then you start to get connected to the next person and the next person. Then all of a sudden, it's really easy to open those doors. And it's really easy to kind of invite yourself into situations that you're like, man, I don't belong here. Or, you know, those limiting beliefs come in. And then at the end of the day, you're driving home and you're thinking, holy shit, that just happened. And they invited me to do this thing or that thing. Because at the end of the day, we're all just humans, right? And we're all just people. And we build people up in our brain, these big CEOs and these big wigs, and then we get to sit down with them, and they're just really cool humans. And I really like that. I think the message there is just, you know, put yourself out there, and if you want something, go get it. Create your own luck. Don't sit around and wait for it to happen for you. Yeah.
I have this plaque that I found that I put in my office, my home office, back when I created LCR Media. I just happened, which was 2017, I just happened to see this plaque, and it says, "Here goes nothing can be the start of everything." And it's like our little family mantra. The kids love it. You know, I mean, they're older now, but that was like my thing, because they just saw all these things happening, you know, that I was doing, all these events, all the YouTube stuff, all the brands, all the community, people mowing lawns on my street and walking over to me. "Are you the lawn care rookie?" And my kid's like, "Oh, there's another lawn guy talking to dad again, just randomly outside." Like, here goes nothing can be the start of everything. So just remember that.
That's a great way to end it off. And Naylor, if anyone is interested in attending the Profit Accelerator live, or we didn't talk too much, but you have a summit, the LCR summit, right, at Equip. It's the week before or a few days before?
It's the same week, but it's Monday, Tuesday, so 2 days right before Equip starts. But the easiest way for anyone to follow anything is just the LCR Media podcast. I have all the important links in the episode descriptions all the time. So anything we talked about today and going forward, it'll be in there. It's kind of like my regular update, because I upload twice a week. So it's kind of a little bit of a vlog too, like from interviewing guests to me sharing what's going on. I was at a men's conference, or I'm at Con Expo, like all these things, and just kind of like a state of my business and my life and experiences that I share and events and all that. So it's a great way, quick, easy resource to go to the LCR Media podcast, and you can see any links in the episode description that you might be interested in, like Profit Accelerator Live.
Perfect. Well, I'll get those links from you, and we'll drop it in this show's notes, and you guys can tune in. So, guys, thanks so much for hanging around. And Naylor, thanks for coming out, brother.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to Trades Talk, where the next generation of disruptors comes to raise the bar. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone in the trades who's ready to level up. For more tools, insights, and community, follow host Justin White and join the movement at jwhitegroup.com.